gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for March 30th, 2023. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Mr. 73, Jeff Grubb. Today, PSVR 2 is a potential disaster for Sony. The PS5 certainly isn't, and EA's profits don't stop it from cutting jobs. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game Mess Mornings. It's Jan Ochoa. Jan, how are you doing?
Grubb, I'm honored to be in the presence of a top 75 speedrunner in the world. Of all time. That's something that, well, I mean, I guess someone could eventually push you off the ladder.
Yes.
But as of right now, no one can take that away from you.
That's right. And, I still have the urge to play more. There's definitely some fights where I can make some big improvements. So I'm going to move up the leaderboard a little bit, I think is the plan. So
you got the hunger.
I got the
hunger in you.
Yes. I don't want to destroy my hands like Dan did, but that was a fun fight. It was a fun run. If you guys haven't seen it, Grubberlang, the episode's up now. So definitely check that out. But yeah, we accomplished what we set out to do, which was to get me a speed run that is actually accepted, and it's up there on speedrun.com right now. So yeah, that's fun stuff. It was also
boxing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Boxing in any form is very entertaining, except sometimes actual boxing.
Yes, exactly. All of the other things involving boxing, very cool.
Yeah.
Actual boxing, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay. I make this face. I make the Kirby face here. There you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. The feet, just full on feet, huh?
Yeah, you got the full feet. Actually, they're kind of like weird down here. It's got the weird feet underneath. I'm sorry, everybody. My kid's not happy that I got this. They like cute Kirby. They do not like man Kirby. For people, audio listeners, it's a Kirby with a man face and full feet. It's very, very handsome. All right.
Lots of calluses.
Oh, yes. That's basically, they're just giant calluses down there is what it looks like. All right, let's get into this mess. But before we do, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you're watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with PSVR 2 disaster can be avoided with price drops, says Analyst. This comes from Mohammed Hassan at DualShockers. According to estimates from research firm International Data Corporation, IDC, Bloomberg reports that Sony may struggle to meet its 2 million unit launch window goal for PSVR 2. With IDC Vice President Francisco Geromino suggesting that the $550 price tag may need to be lowered for Sony to make amends. Bloomberg's direct estimate is that Sony will sell around 270,000 PSVR 2 units between February 22nd and through the end of March, which is far from Sony's ideal launch target of 2 million units, which was previously reported on by Bloomberg. Consumers around the world, this is a quote, consumers around the world are facing rising costs of living, rising interest rates, and rising layoffs, said for Francisco Geronimo, and then he said VR headsets are not top of mind for most consumers under the current economic climate. I suspect a price cut on the PSVR 2 will be needed to avoid a complete disaster of their new product. This is kind of right in line with what we felt might be happening with the PSVR 2 as it was launching. Now these early reports seem to be backing that up. I think a price cut is imminent. I think one's going to be definitely by this holiday, right?
Oh, by this holiday, geez. I feel so badly for the folks that did pick up a PSVR 2 and didn't see this coming. I think even way before they even announced the actual price, we were already talking that it should come out at a cheaper price. I don't know what else to say, Grubb, because what else were they expecting? You release a headset for $550. There's not a lot available for it, so it's just going to be collecting dust for a lot of folks. I have a question. Excuse my ignorance here. You could just use your PSVR 2 as like a video out, right? So if you just want to play a regular game, could you just beam it in front of you?
Yeah. So they have support for that. So you could play all your games there in the PSVR 2, and a lot of people actually say they really enjoy that. So
that sounds cool.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think at a lower price point, a lot of these things that we talk about, like that sounds cool, begin to make a lot more sense. At $550, it's pretty rough. It is still an isolating experience. It is still I mean, all the problems that we've had with VR for a very long, excuse me, for a very long time now are all still present. So it's like everyone's sort of doing that arithmetic in their head of, can I make this make sense? And I don't think it's surprising at all that most people said no, at least for now, especially because the reality is most people, when they're looking around for these gizmos, these gadgets to get in their life, they are like, I just want to get a PS5. I haven't even gotten one of those yet. And for those who have, they're thinking, I just bought a PS5 for $500 or $550. I don't want to make another purchase. I want to like get my money's worth out of that first. So to me, this all feels like right in line with expectations of what would happen here. You know, this story also points out that the landscape for competition in the VR space is a little bit more heated. The MetaQuest 2 is it got a price increase, still very popular. Valve Index, the HTC Vive Pro, these things are all popular on PC. So for people who want VR, they were being served. Although on Twitter, Matt Piscatella, who does the NPD report, although they changed their name to Circana Group, I think, the Circana report, he basically said that going into February, which is the month when the PSVR 2 launched, VR headset sales were down 40%. So like excitement about VR overall may have been waning, although maybe that was people waiting for the PSVR 2.
Well, no, I was thinking that is the fact that you're tethered to the console, is that holding people back from picking up VR? But then, you know, there are folks that still have to be plugged into their, I know, Scout, folks that still have to be plugged into their PCs for stuff like the Index. Yeah, I don't know, Grub. Maybe also because you're right, people got a PS5 and they just want to figure out what to do with that. You know, the next story we'll talk about that as well. But like, also for people that have had the PS5, I feel like they're not immediately motivated to go get a new thing because they're waiting for more things to justify having gotten a $500 console.
Right. You know, you have your set amount of money for entertainment usually, and you're like, okay, I did make the big purchase of a console. And I could then make an equivalent purchase again for hardware, but I'm basically going to be in the same situation where I'm like waiting for the big game to make all this feel like it made sense. And I think most people, when they look at it that way, and I think that's how most people look at it, when they look at it that way, it is, I'm looking at the PS5, which I think has a much better chance of delivering the kinds of games that will make this all feel worth it. And the PSVR 2 just doesn't. It has Gran Turismo 7, Resident Evil Village VR, Call of the Mountain, Fantavision 22X. I mean, some things it's like, okay, if I had a PSVR 2, a lot of those things would be very interesting to me. But when it's like, do I want that? Or do I want to just like wait for Spider-Man 2? I think that's pretty easy for most people. It's like, you just wait for Spider-Man 2. And then later, if the software support for PSVR 2 improves, well, then you can move later. That could be the other side of this conversation, Jan. I think we're looking at a situation where in a couple years, the PSVR 2 is mostly forgotten about. I mean, we've had Sony do PSP and then the Vita and then the PSVR and now PSVR 2. And it feels like each one like subsequently has less support than the one prior to it. And it feels like this one's going to be, I think, kind of a fire and forget, which wouldn't surprise me because I don't really think this was ever a PlayStation initiative. This felt like a direction from Sony to PlayStation to go do this.
Yeah, the unfortunate part is that the PSVR 2 headset itself, incredibly well made. It's one of the more comfortable headsets that I have tried on. And it's just thinking about how it's progressed since the original PSVR and having to set up that breakout box and all the cables and juggle those. And now you just have a single cable setup. It's like the hardware is there, just there's nothing software wise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just like, yeah, you're right. Like, I can't imagine if I wasn't in this job and I just had a PS5, didn't have a Steam Deck or another console, I couldn't justify to myself, especially with how the current, financial climate is, to drop $550 for and $60 more for each game. Go ahead. For like a short experience. If it was, if Half-Life Alyx dropped, then maybe that'd be a different story. Even that one game that folks are really high on, the one where you you blink and things change the scene.
Yeah,
that game's also available in so many other different places.
Right.
I think
it's like
on
easy
Netflix,
to talk yourself out of. I think the PSVR 2 is very easy to talk yourself out of.
Incredibly.
You know, this stuff could change on a dime if PSVR 2 continues to get support, but PSVR 1 that was obvious from the beginning. Sony was going to put a lot of money into games for PSVR, and they did. Yeah. And it's like, we got a lot of exclusives, usually from third parties, but it didn't matter. They felt like pretty big deals all throughout the life of that system. That's not really noticeable, like out of the gate this time around. It feels like they've mostly brought on games that have been available elsewhere, like you were just saying, and then they had Call of the Mountain, and it's like, you know, and then they had some VR modes and some previous existing games. It's that feels like a decline, and it feels like a pretty sharp decline that, again, I think is noticeable by most people. You know, I think I said this last time we had this conversation, but I got a friend who's like, I got the 10 game rule. I wait till a system has 10 games that I want to play, and then I buy it. I think that the PSVR 2 is going to struggle to get to that, to like break through that ceiling there. But you know, we'll see. I think, let me ask, do you think in 2 years Sony has a PlayStation event? Do they really make a big deal about PSVR 2 in like their showcase 2 years from now? I
would hope that they would make a big deal, if not this year, next year. Definitely. Yeah. Yes. I'm thinking about it now, and I also think it's very odd that there's no type of, as far as I know, social hub or social app for PSVR, right? Like, let me
no official one,
yeah, no official one. Like, let me fire up home. Let me chat with some homies, or like meet some people that are also in PSVR 2. Let me extort some people by offering virtual dances for them, you know, in my PSVR 2 helmet. It just seems odd. It's like you guys did all the work to get it out the door, but forgot all the other things. It's like you guys made this car, forgot to get gas.
Yep.
Like, oh shit, we didn't put chairs in there. Oh no.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, that is what I heard, that this was a Sony initiative, not a PlayStation initiative, which sounds strange, but apparently was. And I think you look at it through that perspective, it's like, yeah, that seems pretty clear that that's kind of what's happening. What do you think, Scout? Yeah.
Scout's just, it's like they don't make PSVR or any VR helmets for dogs.
No, they
turns out.
I would like to see that. That's something I would like to see, a VR helmet for dogs. You alluded to this. This is the other story here that relates to this. PS5 set a new U.S. record for PlayStation console sales in the month of February, from Tom Ivan at VGC. More PS5 consoles were sold in the U.S. last month than any other individual PlayStation system has ever achieved in the month of February. I suppose this would mean in the United States, if this is coming from Matt Piscatella. That's according to Matt Piscatella, Executive Director and Video Game Industry Analyst at Circana, formerly the NPD Group. In the company's latest monthly sales report, which was published on Wednesday, Piscatella noted that PS5 has topped U.S. hardware rankings in terms of both units sold and dollars generated since the start of the year. And in a follow-up tweet, the analyst confirmed that the PS5 sales last month reached a record high for any PlayStation system in the month of February. I mean, this is it. I think this is the main reason PSVR 2 is not doing well, because the PS5 is like taking up all the oxygen in the room for Sony. People are excited about the PS5. They feel like that, you know, whatever that 7 to 10 game rule. I think a lot of people are like, it's hit it. I got to move now. It's available. That's the thing I want to go get. I can go get it, and I can get Hogwarts Legacy, and I can get all these other things that are selling really well alongside it. And I'll feel good about my purchase. And PSVR 2 is a long way from that. But I also think Sony's like, or PlayStation at least, is looking at this and be like, we know where our bread is buttered, and it's going to be PS5 all the time here pretty soon, I think. And I don't blame them.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I've seen so many acquaintances pick up a PSVR 2, unfortunately, for Hogwarts Legacy. Yep, but then, you know, a lot of those acquaintances will then need to figure out okay, I just got this. What else can I go get for it?
Yep.
And then, like, a lot of the people that have finally been able to get a PS5, they're working through that backlog, and there's a bunch of great games. And I know sometimes the way that we talk about the PS5 that there isn't a lot, but I think it's because we're caught up on everything. If you're just grabbing a PS5 in February of 2023, you have like The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 remasters, or Last of Us Part 2. Ratchet and Clank, Horizon, I guess, if that's your bag. but also God of War and all these other games like Returnal. Returnal is like something super cool to check out. And maybe you're waiting for stuff to come out like Street Fighter 6.
Yep.
And you're just biding your time.
Yep. And it's like, we're probably going to get that showcase from Sony here in the near future. There's reports from out of Australia. I didn't make this a news story. We'll make it a part of this. An Australian retailer listed a slimmer PS5. We'll see if that's just them kind of getting ahead of stuff, or they've heard something and they actually are leaking something. It's like, okay, well, that could get announced soon, I guess. And then, then that means they'll probably have that showcase that has a bunch of games in addition to solid details about Spider-Man 2. And it's, I think they're going to be going from strength to strength for PS5, where they are doing very well, and then they're going to be doing even better. And this system, which lagged behind the sales of the PS4 for the last couple of years because of supply constraints, easily going to catch up to the PS4 sales numbers here very soon, I think. Easily.
God, poor PSVR 2.
Yeah, I mean, it feels predictable, but it's still a shame. It's cool technology. Everyone that uses it really likes it. It seems like, in terms of what it can do. Does everyone turn around and be like, and it's clearly worth $550? I don't think many people are doing that, but they're like, there's a world where it could be. Right now, that world feels pretty far away, though.
I can't even justify it for SUSIO purposes.
Yeah, because it's not easy to plug into your PC and like get into those dark parts of the internet. Electronic Arts lays off hundreds of workers despite strong profits. This comes from Nicole Carpenter at Polygon. Electronic Arts will lay off more than 700 employees, 6% of the video game publisher's worldwide workforce of roughly 12,900. CEO Andrew Wilson said this on Wednesday. The mass dismissals come despite a $1.3 billion gross profit that EA reported for its latest fiscal quarter, according to financial statements given to investors in January. Still, the company at the time also lowered its full-year profit expectations, despite revenue and profit increases over the same quarterly period from 2022. The December quarter, I think, when they reported that, was no, that's right. So I was looking like, I thought they were down 1% a little bit in one of their things, but no, they were up. They were up, and they're still laying people off. They have a quote here. Even amidst macro uncertainty, EA is operating from a position of strength, Wilson said in announcing the layoffs. He said EA is gaining momentum, but still announced the layoffs a few paragraphs later. Wilson did not specify which segments of the company would be impacted by the layoffs. He said only that EA will pull away from projects that don't align with its strategy of, quote, building games and experiences that entertain massive online communities. Whatever. Okay. It's hard for me to see this as anything other than our neighbors are doing this, so we got to do it. We got to keep up with the Joneses. Everyone else is laying people off, so we got to be laying people off. A profitable company being like, we have to have fewer jobs. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, Jan. I think this continues to be very frustrating.
Yeah, from the one semester of economics that I took all the way back in high school, it makes sense for a company to lay off their employees if they're not doing so hot. They got to make ends meet. For all of these companies, Grub, to report, hey, we got great profits this year, record-breaking profits, we're doing so well. Unfortunately, we got to lay off an obscene amount of people because we're doing so well. It's like, what the fuck? It is just people reacting and fucking anticipating for the worst, when in reality, Grub, we're just making it. We're just manifesting it because we're scared. Not we're scared of it, but they're scared of it on some level. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, and it's easy for people to talk themselves into feeling pretty rotten about the economy. I mean, all the measures still show a pretty strong economy. That's the weird thing. I think a lot of people still feel pretty bad about it because you look at a price of a PSVR 2 and then you look at your grocery bill and they're not very different. They're pretty close in terms of like the kinds of money you're going out there and spending, and you're not making that much more money. So it's like, it's very, you know what, maybe the economy's doing great overall, but my dollar's going, shorter than ever. And so, and then people go and they read the headlines, and as company after company, recognizable company after recognizable company, laying off hundreds, if not thousands of employees. And that's been going on for weeks now.
Yes. Yeah. I know that a lot of folks get fatigued on Game S mornings of hearing us talk about the whole Activision, Blizzard, and Microsoft deal continuing on. These are the stories that I'm tired of hearing because I just hate it. Because the reality is there's so many people looking for jobs, and then the market is being filled with more and more unemployed folks that are all now scrounging for jobs, and some places don't want to welcome remote workers for whatever reason, and people have moved across the country for specific jobs, and now they can't move back. They're stuck in positions, and even the thought of moving back somewhere or moving to somewhere cheaper is terrifying.
These layoffs come after EA said that it would shut down Battlefield 1943, Battlefield Bad Company, and Battlefield Bad Company 2. It also said it would shut down. I mean, they're also going to delist these games from being sold on digital stores. They also were going to do that with Mirror's Edge, although they backtracked on that, or they said it was a mistake. It seemed to be miscommunication between multiple divisions over there or something like that. It's hard to say from the outside. Wilson while he didn't specify like what they were going to like focus on, he did call out games like Sims 4, EA Sports FIFA 23, and Apex Legends as like pillars of success for EA. And he said that but then beyond that, they're likely to focus on Madden 23, Battlefield 2042, and Star Wars Jedi Survivor in the immediate future. And then down the line will be games like Sims 5 and making sure that the sports franchises are as strong and profitable as ever. EA is such a back and forth company, though. They had that period before Andrew Wilson, really, John Riccitiello era where they did do Mirror's Edge and a bunch of other games that felt like they were taking a chance. They did Syndicate in 2011 or 2012 or whatever, and then when that period kind of came collapsing down because those games didn't perform exactly as well as they wanted it to, and that was Mirror's Edge Catalyst, actually, that I'm referring to. It's like, okay, we're going to kind of focus on what we do well, and now they've sort of branched out again. It's like, okay, and we're going to go back to Dead Space, and we are going to make single-player Star Wars games, and it's like, okay, things seem to be making sense. You guys seem to be growing, and then to pull the rug out and be like, and we're also firing 700 people. It just feels like, okay, this company still can't quite figure it out.
Yeah, and I feel so bad for the folks that are still there because, you just get racked with survivor's guilt, and news like this leaves a bad taste in folks' mouth. Like, now I feel less inclined to go pick up the new Star Wars game when it comes out because
it bums me out.
Yeah, it bums me out. And then it's like, oh, cool. I'm still excited for Skate 4, but at the same time, like, we have no idea where these layoffs have been affected. Who knows what?
Yes, it's not clear.
What games they're going to wind up affecting, and it's all a mess. This isn't the fun mess.
And then that kind of like being bummed out about a company, and it's like that stuff. It comes and goes, and I'll try to put it in the back of my mind. And I'll come back to stuff, but it does build up over time. I'll tell you, using Twitch. After a long time of them kind of treating creators pretty poorly and then laying off a bunch of people and the CEO resigning right before that so he didn't have to deal with it. I'm feeling pretty rotten about Twitch recently. And it's like every time I try to go to use it, it's like that. It bubbles out of the back of my mind where I try to keep it. I'm like, listen, I can only think about this stuff so much. I can only do so much about it. But it's like eventually that stuff begins to taint something, and people do look for alternatives. And it's like if something pops up, this could be like serious missteps. I think morale among people who use your stuff is something these companies need to keep in mind, at least somewhat. But I also think they're like, hey, one good game can wipe away a lot of bad feelings. So we'll see. All right. The Last of Us Part 1 PC port glitch includes characters being wet for no reason. This comes from George Yang at GameSpot. The PC version of The Last of Us Part 1 has been criticized for its litany of glitches. I'm gonna bring this up here because you guys just watch this while I'm talking about it. But one of the funniest ones seen so far is where the characters are dripping wet for no apparent reason in cutscenes. As shown on Reddit, there's a cutscene involving Joel, Ellie, Marlene, and Tess early in the game. At the start, they're dry and having a conversation about smuggling weapons, when all of a sudden they appear soaking and dripping with water. In the Reddit thread, no one seems to know what's causing the glitch, but at least it's an entertaining one that doesn't adversely affect the game's performance. The glitches coming out of this game, so it's the PC part of The Last of Us. Something that's like, I think Steam, like itself, Valve itself, was like promoting before the game came out. Look at this drippy wet boy. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
His beard is just everywhere. There's a lot of fun glitches coming out here. My favorite one is actually this one, where Joel and his eyes and mouth are poking out Boy, that's fun. I showed my wife, I had to show her this and she loves game glitches and she almost fell off the treadmill when I showed her. So it's like, yes, this is good stuff. This does lead into the first Last of Us PC patch focused on stability and performance improvements. It has come out. This comes from Tom Ivan at VGC. Naughty Dog has released the first update for the heavily criticized PC version of The Last of Us Part 1. Following a short delay, The Last of Us hit PC on Tuesday, has received mostly negative reviews on Steam, with a significant number of players complaining about performance issues and crashes. The game's first update was released on Wednesday. Naughty Dog said it primarily focused on stability and performance improvements, along other smaller improvements. They also said stuff like loading shaders taking longer than expected is something that they're looking into. So, did you have any like consideration of playing this game again on PC?
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%. I was about to pick it up on the PS5, but then I looked at the Steam release. I'm like, oh, I could just wait and just play it on the deck, huh?
Yep. That's what I was thinking too. And so on the Steam Deck, it takes an hour for those shaders to load. And then when they do, like that first like loading screen is an hour long. And then when it finally does start playing, it still is like less than 30 frames per second. It's like, this is not great, guys. This is not, I get that this is the remake. So it's like technically a PS4, PS5 game. Was this PS5 only? I can't remember now. But it's like still, yeah, that's pretty rough stuff.
Yeah, it's fun to look at glitches, but if it's fun when you can actually play the game and they pop out, not when everything about the game is hampering the performance.
Yeah, look at this weird guy here with his big bushy eyebrows and unshaded beard.
Boy.
I love glitches, but yeah, people pay for this stuff and they don't want it to be like this. They want to have the experience as intended. So this is rough. I'm sure they'll get around to improving it and updating it, but this is again the latest entry in a line of recent PC releases that have had real rough ports.
Ugh. That's not Pedro Pascal at all.
No, it's not. That's I'm trying to think of a pun on his name for looking like butt instead. Pedro Buttscow. There we go. Activision Blizzard and NetEase breakup came after Bobby Kotick felt threatened. This comes from Oysen Kunke at GameSpot. According to a recent report, the split between Activision Blizzard and NetEase was in part due to ABK CEO Bobby Kotick feeling threatened. A recent report from the New York Times has detailed what supposedly happened between Activision Blizzard and NetEase leading up to the announcement of the two parting ways. According to the report, a call took place in October between Activision Blizzard and NetEase to discuss the future of their 14-year partnership, but both apparently left with drastically different interpretations of what had been said, according to 4 people close to the situation, and also based on a document that New York Times had seen. As a result, in January, World of Warcraft became unavailable in China due to the two not being able to make an agreement. The report noted that tensions had been building between the two companies before the contract renewals with NetEase executives believing that Kotick had made unreasonable demands over the years. That doesn't sound like Bobby Kotick. In 2018, NetEase invested $100 million into Bungie to make non-Destiny games, which Kotick apparently felt unhappy with, as Bungie was behind schedule on making Destiny content. October's call saw Kotick talk with NetEase chief executive William Ding and other executives about antitrust regulators investigating Microsoft's potential acquisition of ABK. And apparently at some point in the conversation, which took place between translators, Activision executives noted they believed Ding threatened Kotick. Executives believe that NetEase could sway the Chinese government, which was reviewing the acquisition at the time, to potentially block the deal, depending on the outcome of any licensing deal between Activision Blizzard and NetEase. A NetEase spokesperson denied that Ding had threatened Activision. So the short version here is apparently they were in conversations, and Kotick and other executives at Activision believe that the executives in NetEase were like, we will get the government to stop your deal from going through in China if you don't give us a better deal. And then Kotick felt threatened. It was like, I'm dipping. And it could be all translation error.
I'm, again, based off of that one semester of economics I took in high school, I don't think Bobby Kotick is good at his job.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah.
I also think, and not to body shame anyone here,
sure,
anytime we come up with a story of Bobby Kotick, it just screams small dick energy.
It really does.
It's like, how do you get to this level and do your job so poorly?
Yep.
You know what? Bobby shaming.
Yeah,
there we go.
I mean, the NetEase deal. This game is just these games. Actually, Diablo 4 and World of Warcraft made a lot of money in China. Overwatch League, like their esports league, had more viewers in China than the rest of the world combined. At a certain point, it's like, it's not like they pulled out of China because of the way China treats Taiwan or the Uyghurs. It's because Bobby Kotick felt threatened. No. And that is extreme small dick energy. Absolutely. That is like, come on, man. And it probably wasn't, because it seems like it looks like it was a translation error and he couldn't handle it. So, all right, I guess. I mean, sometimes you got to get up and walk away from the table, but you do kind of look like a big buffoon. But that's pretty normal for Bobby Kotick.
He just continues to fall up the stairs.
Yes.
I don't understand.
Yep. And he's gonna get a lot of money, but boy, I hope he just goes away after he does.
He's not gonna, though. He's incapable.
Yep. Oh man. All right.
Go learn how to do magic tricks or something. I don't know. Go find like a weird, mildly inoffensive hobby. I guess magic can be offensive. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. We've seen it. Xbox's Chris Charla has said that Game Pass isn't disruptive. This comes from Christopher Dring at gi.biz. Ahead of our interview with ID at Xbox director Chris Charla, we asked a few independent developers and publishers how they were feeling about Xbox. The response was largely very positive. The ID at Xbox program, now celebrating its 10th anniversary, continues to be a success. And teams had nothing but good things to say about how Xbox works with them. As a reminder, ID at Xbox is basically independent developer at Xbox, and it's the program that Xbox has to make sure that indies feel supported and can get their games on Xbox very easily. They asked him about Game Pass, and he said basically that he would not describe it as disruptive because I don't think it is in the way that like Uber came in and got rid of all taxis in that industry. It's additive. Oh. People still buy a lot of games, and they still buy a lot of games on Xbox. They buy games through Game Pass at a discount, which is what they get as members. And so I don't think Game Pass has been a disruptive business model. It's been additive in a really positive way. And we as an industry need to look more at more of those additive business models, a bit like digital distribution that may have been somewhat disruptive to retail space, but it was ultimately additive because not every single game needed to be of the size to justify being on disc. This is like continues to echo what Microsoft executives have been saying for a little bit now, where they're like saying Game Pass is not going to be the thing going forward. It's going to be one of the things we offer, and it's not going to replace much, and it's going to be about 15% of our business, which is what Phil Spencer has said before. They do keep saying this, and I'm like wondering, does that mean that Game Pass did not work out the way that they expected, or are they just like, no, this is totally a fine outcome? It's hard for me to gauge. What do you think, Jen?
Yeah, Microsoft is always so confusing when they talk about profitability of Game Pass, and like, no, it's doing great, it's doing gangbusters. Like, it's not doing as well as we wanted to, but we're still going to try and convince the general public that it's worth it,
right? And
that the devs love it.
Yeah.
And hey, for what it's worth, again, based off of this one semester econ class, I'm continuing to pay them $14 to $15 a month, and because I keep forgetting about it, and because I don't actually have an Xbox, I only check it out for the PC, and I always forget to check that Xbox Game Pass PC app. So hey, there's probably a bunch of other people that are in similar positions as me that are still continually giving them $10, $15 a month, and they are okay with that.
Yes, I think that they are looking at this as once people are in Game Pass, they are a more engaged consumer, and we can do something with that. We can build on that. But I think that the early thinking was, of course, video games like music and like video is going to be completely disrupted, and Blockbuster's going to go away, and CDs are going to go away, and people are just going to do it this one way. And that hasn't happened in video games yet. And if it's going to, it's not going to happen for quite some time. Although in this interview, Charla says, when asked, like, do you think this is going to be the way it works going forward, that it's not going to completely disrupt the space? He said, I do think it will. We're basically saying that he doesn't think it's going to replace everything. We see Game Pass players play more games, engage with more games in more genres than they've ever engaged with. Those kinds of metrics is what we saw at the beginning of Game Pass, and every time we look, we still see it. So yeah, I remain super hopeful about it. When we see developers coming to us and talking to us about second, third, fourth, and fifth games in Game Pass, it's clearly working for them. That's good extrinsic validation about the value of the program. So yeah, I mean, I think it's working for a certain set of developers for sure. I think that for it to be truly disruptive, it would have to make sense for the biggest developers, and that's been the question that hasn't happened yet, right?
Yeah. I think maybe availability on other platforms, like rolling it out to Steam and having, if Game Pass was on my Steam Deck, it would be a whole different story.
Yes,
like
agreed.
If there was an additional tier to pay for it to be available on the Steam Deck, I'd do it. I'd do it in a heartbeat. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe people are maybe talking about if it came out on TVs, also it'd be disruptive. That's a possibility.
Totally.
I guess streaming xCloud. Huh.
Yeah, I mean, there's xCloud is available in more and more places. It's on Samsung TVs now. But to me, the idea of telling a normal person to connect a controller to your TV is still such a hump to get over that they have.
Everyone did it with Stadia, though. What are you talking about?
You're right. God, look to Stadia. That's what we should always be doing. They taught that in day one in the econ class, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's see here. Disney's Dreamlight Valley's next major content update drops next week. Yeah, I included this just for you, Jan. This comes from Alana Hagues at Nintendo Life. Content update 4 is coming to Disney Dreamlight Valley on 5th of April, just in time for the long Easter weekend for some of us. While we don't have all the specifics of the April update, which was teased back in January as part of Gameloft's roadmap for 2023, we do know that the Lion King's Simba will be a big part of it. Gameloft has continued to update the game, fixing bugs and tweaking things. This is the first big content update since February's Festival of Friendship update. How are you feeling about it, Simba? Is that a big one for you?
I just can't wait to be king, Grub.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Man, I love the Lion King.
I can't wait to go. I'm not going to say it.
Was this like what like related to Nala or something? What?
No, I was going to say I'm going to go to that shadowy place.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough. More new characters, a brand new realm, more surprises. Star Path, celebrate the Disney parks. These are all things included in the April update. I don't know what that last thing is, but it sounds intense. We'll probably.
This is my dark secret, Grub. I've been going back to this game.
I know.
I play this in the background. I play this in the background. Oh. I hate it. I think I like farming games.
I mean, Hakuna Matata, but come on, man.
It means no worries. Dan, Bacalar is more of a Timon, right?
Yeah, which one would fart more?
Pumbaa.
Okay, well, then which one between Dan Reichert and Jeff Bacalar would fart more?
Well, Dan, obviously.
Dan. All right, so Dan's our Pumbaa.
You know, folks, just figure it out for us, please.
Yeah, help us out there. We appreciate that. All right, last couple of stories here. Japanese physical sales chart for the last week is out. This comes from Nintendo Everything. The latest Japanese hardware sales from Famitsu are as follows. The Switch OLED sold 36,604 units, PS5 34,000, and then Switch is 10,000-ish, Switch Lite 7,000-ish, and then the PS5 Digital Edition 4,810. The rest of the system sold a little bit, just less than 2,000 basically. But this has been for several weeks in a row. PS5 was at like almost 100,000 units sold every week, and now it's kind of coming back down. And there's no sign if that's like due to lack of supply again, or it's like, okay, but most people who were waiting now got it, and now things have like settled down. It seems like that could be it. But Resident Evil 4 did just drop, and that was very successful in the software chart, selling 89,000 units on PS5 and 85,000 units on PS4. And those were 1 and 2 for the week. So people showing up for Resident Evil at the very least.
Has the price increase already happened in Japan?
Yes, it did. It was that's where it happened first. It happened before they did the that latest revision, which just kind of improved the yields on their chip, and that was back in like November-ish, I think.
Chip yields.
Yeah, chip yields.
Interesting. I guess I'm surprised to see the digital edition of the PS5 be lower than I guess your regular PS5, but maybe I'm just ill-informed when it comes to like digital downloads and how that's been adopted in Japan versus physical media still. Huh.
Yeah. These are, so this is all physical charts. Let's see, Atelier Ryza 3, which I'll never say correctly. It was also new. That sold 31,000 copies on the Nintendo Switch.
How is Splatoon 3 still on this chart?
Splatoon 3 is a cultural institution in Japan. It is another 12,000 copies, number 8, and it's about to pass 4 million physical units sold in Japan alone. Most games across the world, across physical and digital, across multiple platforms, never get close to 4 million copies sold. Splatoon 3 is massive.
God, I really liked Splatoon 3 too. I just wish I felt motivated to go back.
I know, I agree. I mean, well, you don't want to do the latest Splatfest, which was what is it, the cryptids, like
Bigfoot,
Bigfoot,
the Loch Ness monster.
I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Me neither.
That's how much of a cryptid it is.
Aliens. That's right, aliens. Which one? I'm still Team Bigfoot, even though I don't believe in Bigfoot. Mike says that's Mike's very mad about this. He's
Bigfoot's just a big guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's just the big show.
To put Splatoon 3 in a little bit of perspective, it's about to hit 4 million units. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which has sold more than 50 million copies worldwide, is at 5.2 million in Japan physically alone. So Splatoon 3, not that far behind that. I mean, it's a million, but still, it's like it hasn't been out nearly as long. So it's like, man, that's how big that game is.
And that's just Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Switch.
That's right. That's right. Yes, it is. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is just also massive. And then the Minecraft for Switch was number 10, 3 million units sold total. It has 8,000 that week. Minecraft just also keeps selling. That's bizarre. All right, last story here. The Super Mario Brothers movie will have a post-credits scene. This comes from Liam Doolin at Nintendo Life. It's become common for movies to tease what's next at the end of the credits, and it seems the upcoming Mario movie will be no different. In an interview with CBR, Mario's movie voice actor Chris Pratt mentions how Nintendo fans can look forward to a post-credit scene potentially teasing what might happen beyond the Mario movie. This is Chris's quote. Listen, there's like at the end of the film, there's a post-credit sequence that gives you a taste of what the sequel could be about, and that gets me very, very excited. I'm happy for you, Chris. Pratt even went on to reference that recent talk about a Luigi's Mansion movie, and he thinks that would be great. Whatever this post-credits scene ends up featuring, once again, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen something like this, apart from every Marvel movie doing it nowadays. Things like Sonic the Hedgehog has had key characters in post-credits sequences. Jan, what do you expect here?
I mean, the obvious play is to go for a Wario tease, have him be like Thanos and realize he's got to do it himself.
That would roll.
They should just shot for shot remake that first time that Thanos is introduced. Just have Waluigi be like Loki, and then we'll be golden.
I do think it's Waluigi and Wario. That's my guess. I think it's Wario and Waluigi because Donkey Kong's going to be so featured that they wouldn't tease the Donkey Kong movie because that's the whole movie is going to be teasing the Donkey Kong movie. So I think you tease like what you're going to bring into Super Mario the movie 2, and that will be, I think it's going to be Wario and Waluigi.
Oh, I need this to end with fucking Super Mario snapping his fingers and dying.
It's a me, Mario.
Oh my god. I can't. Oh, and then man, and then like just Toad just saying, "I'm on your left." And then they just pop out of a bunch of warp pipes. Oh my god!
They pop out a bunch of Yoshi eggs. Yoshi just starts spitting everybody out. Yeah.
Why do we give these free ideas out?
I don't know. It's our curse. We can't help it. It's what makes us special.
Geniuses,
Yep, absolutely. What's like the wildest thing you could think of that it could be?
Wart from Super Mario 2.
I would love that too.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, you could just like have a shy guy throughout the regular part of the movie, and then at the end, it's like the shy guy wanders off, and it's like it's the Dreamland. Yeah.
Have we seen Phanto at all?
I don't think so.
Lexi pointed out as well. Phanto could be cool.
I would.
A Phanto?
I think just put a lot of references like as Easter eggs to Super Mario Brothers 2 in the movie, and then the post-credit scene can be Wart. That would be cool. But yeah, I mean, I think the wildest thing they could possibly do would be let's begin the Super Smash Brothers crossover thing right away and have Captain Falcon show up and be like where you or Mario like looks through a telescope and sees the Super Mario galaxy things and looks out to the beyond and sees all these other worlds that might be Nintendo properties. And then like a big hand comes down or something like that. I don't know. Like something Smash Brothers related could be very cool.
Oh, I got it. All right. Yeah. You just have Super Mario and Luigi walking down the street, and then it's a gust of wind is blowing, right? They're struggling to walk through this gust of wind as they're walking down the streets of New Donk City or wherever the hell they are. And then the gust of wind keeps getting stronger and it's blowing them back. And then the camera pans. Turns out it's not a gust of wind. It's just Kirby sucking.
Yeah, suck Kirby.
And then you just hear boo-yoo, and then black.
I love it. That is
write the check, Nintendo. Write the check, Chris Pratt.
Chris, we got you. We got you, Chris. All right, I have yesterday's poll. Let's go ahead and bring that up. I asked, do you expect The Last of Us Factions to launch day and date on PS5 and PC? 43.3% said yes. More people, 56.7% said no. A lot of people in the replies pointed out that recently, and in like the last year or so, Herman Holst, who is basically in charge of PlayStation Worldwide Studios, Sony Worldwide Studios at this point, said that going forward, like live service games would be the kinds of things that could end up on PC day and date. And so they're like, he's basically said that's what they're going to do. And yet, I think most people are like, for The Last of Us, a Naughty Dog game, that still seems pretty far-fetched. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm in that same camp of it feels weird for a Naughty Dog game to come out day and date for PS5 and PC. I feel like it'd be another staggered release of like a 6-month window at the very least. But if this isn't a proper numbered Last of Us sequel, and this is like the multiplayer standalone, it could be a slim possibility, fairly close to the margins of the poll here.
Yes, I'm kind of I think it's more likely than not, but it's not a guarantee. There's a bunch of reasons to do it either way. I think the reasons to keep it exclusive to PS5 would be like, hey, sell more PS5s, make PS5 owners more happy, make it feel like it's special for PS5 owners, but it's a live service game, and the more players you get, the better chance it has of succeeding. So
yeah, that's true. I mean, it would have to be cross-platform, right? It would have to be.
I think so. Yes, I think it's cross-platform, and I think it's day and date probably, but we'll see. All right, I'm gonna come up with another poll question, which I did not do. So give me a second.
Ooh, I got one, Grub. Grub. If there's a Kirby movie, should he be voiced?
I love it. And who should he be voiced by? You guys could tell me that in the replies. All right.
Antonio Banderas should just be Meta Knight.
That I love that. That would be incredible. All right. Well, I get that written up. Jan, why don't you tell people what's going on with Giant Bomb this week?
What's going on for us for the rest of the week? You and Mike Minotti are going to have a light Blight Club after this, playing Star Wars Masters of Terras Kasi. We'll also have an episode of The Dump Truck with our boys Michael Heim and Young Elmo, Jesse Vitelli. Tomorrow, another episode of Game Mess Mornings, as well as a UPF. What we're going to do? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe we'll look at some of the Fortnite stuff that's been popping off. Some like real interesting things over there. And hey, if you missed yesterday's Grubber Lang's Punch Out, check it out. If you've been feeling down in the dumps and you need a win, watch Jeff Grubb win.
Just watch me win. I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
Fine. I do it myself. It's my Wario. That's not very good.
Who voices Wario?
Timur Hussein does a great Wario. So there
he does do a good Wario.
There you go. I think Wario should actually just be Charles Martinet. That one they should just let it be Wario. Oh, Danny DeVito's pretty good.
Who would be King? I always thinking Danny DeVito is King DDD.
Ooh, I like that too. I like that a lot.
Oh man.
All right, let's see here. Oh, let me bring up this new poll so people could see it. There we go. Should Kirby have a speaking voice if he gets a movie? 60.7% so far saying yes. So that's pretty. It's only 6 votes though. 8 votes. All right. Well, we'll see if that changes. Now it's just 0% on both sides. All right. Well, we'll talk about that tomorrow here on Giant Bomb. In the meantime, yes, the Light Blight Club, the B Light Club will be happening later. So tune in for that. Jan, thank you so much for spending today with talking with me about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
It's my favorite part of Thursday mornings.
Same here, man. And thank you all for watching. You're the best audience in gaming. I really mean that. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.